Lately, I've been thinking about how much pressure we mothers put on ourselves to show up the same way every day in our homeschool life. Same energy, same patience, same workload, but that's just not how the nature of our bodies work. Now, once I realized this and I started planning with the natural rhythm of my monthly cycle instead of against it, everything changed. And I think we don't talk about it enough. So today, let's get the conversation started. Well, hello. It's been a while, but we're back. We're back, 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 back. I learned about cycle syncing about 4 years ago, and it was very mind shifting, very heartwarming to read about. I read a book titled In the Flow by Elisa Vitti. It's about cycle syncing, really learning about the woman's body and how our body changes and our hormones change through the course of 1 month. Our body goes through these 4 phases, and there is so much happening through each phase. And the more that we are really knowledgeable about what's happening with us through these phases, the more we can operate in alignment with how we plan our days, how we show up in our lives, how we show up for the people that we love, and how we show up in the workplace, how we show up in motherhood, all the things. So about 2 years ago, after I had my fifth child, I'm a year in and I'm realizing, okay, I need to start applying the skill, the science of cycle syncing to the way that I plan my homeschool life. So, today we're going to talk about 4 ways that cycle syncing really just changed my homeschool rhythm. The first thing I did was stop expecting myself to show up in my homeschool and navigate and teach in my homeschool the same way every week. And that concept alone really shifted my perspective in what the learning experience can and should and will look like when a mother is spending her days teaching academically and character wise, spiritually, all the things throughout the course of the day. So, number one, first I began to plan with my energy. And what that means is based on the phase that I'm in my cycle, I know where my energy is going to be. I know if my energy is high or low during this phase. I know if this is a phase where I'm in a position to use more brain power. Like for example, let's say if my son who's in the second grade, it's time for him to learn a new math concept. Whenever it's time to learn a new concept, it's going to require more patience of me. It's going to require me to go back and freshen up on a skill or practice teaching this concept before I start working with my child on this. So I have to be in a space where I have the energy for that, where my mind is in a place where I want to do that, right? There's a certain phase in my cycle where I can show up my best to do that work. So now, on the weeks where my energy is low, this is when I use time to review what we've been doing, to plan things ahead, to rest. This is when our workload gets more simple. And this is the time where I require my children to be more independent with their work. So when my energy is high, they're getting the hands on with me, they're getting the instruction. So then when the energy changes, now they're expected to keep up with that rhythm on their own. And then when we circle back, because that's just what a cycle does, then we repeat that. I come back, I check how they did during those days or that week when they worked more independently, and then we review and we do the same thing. We repeat the phase, we repeat through the cycles. And it's just really me honoring myself so that I can show up in a way that I feel like I'm operating at my best based on what my children need from me and what I have to give. Very important. Number two, I stopped forcing a strict schedule. I have tried to be a time blocking schedule type of girl, but it just never works, especially with 5 kids, different phases, a toddler in the mix. It's not feasible. I have to have a rhythm and some flexibility in how we move through our days. So now, instead of micromanaging every hour, I started following the rhythm of our real life, how we naturally feel. For example, my children have to start the day outside. So they get up, they handle their personal hygiene responsibilities, have some breakfast, and then they go outside. And instead of starting and stopping our work at a particular hour every day, we stick to a list of priorities that everyone has. So I have a checklist for each child, including also for myself. And we are mindful of our time and we just move through the day, making sure that we are checking things off. Also, we have anchors that really just keep us on track. The boys have martial arts practice at 4:35 o'clock. So by then, we know that we have not only handled our work responsibilities, we've done anything that we need to do at home to end off our day. So it doesn't feel strict, it feels structured, but not rigid. I became more aware of my capacity. As a mother of five, things really have to be organized. And there have been many times where I have dropped the ball and I feel it. When I drop the ball, it's usually because I've overloaded myself in a way and I'm not working within the alignment of my monthly cycle. Every time, it never fails. There are naturally some seasons in our family that require us to be a little bit more loose in our schedule, depending what we've got going on. And then there are seasons where we need to have more structure based on learning goals and family goals. But no matter what, I always have to consider where I am in my monthly cycle so that I can show up in the best way possible, prioritizing myself and prioritizing my children's academic educational goals. Now, after this shifting of my perspective and me putting these things into daily practice, I finally have come to a place where I feel like things are sustainable. The way that we move through our days, the way that we stack our educational goals, and the way that we flow through them daily in our home, it feels like a rhythm that we can keep up with. It feels like we are covering ground and that we are stewarding our time well. And ultimately, we are cultivating what an educational lifestyle looks and feels like. When I have these type of conversations with moms, specifically homeschool moms, this is not a conversation that we are having often. You don't typically hear about mothers talking about how they are doing the work. How are they taking care of themselves very specifically so that we can show up in our right minds with a plan, with our nervous system regulated, and really just honoring the work that we have to do by taking care of ourselves first. And me, learning about cycle syncing, learning about the four phases of my cycle, what's happening with me, and what I have the capacity to do, what my workload should look like in my mothering, in my personal life, and absolutely in my educational life with me and my children. It has really brought a new level of awareness. It has unlocked a new level of living. So, I want you to share with me, is this concept new to you? Is it something that you have been doing before? How's it working for you? Chat with me, talk to me in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.